Okay, two more questions here. For the past few years, being in a heterosexual relationship, I've had a latent feeling of desire to pursue romantic encounters with women and less interest in engaging in sex with my partner. I was hoping this feeling would just go away, but it seems to always be in the back of my mind. Could this just be a normal feeling of excitement for someone outside the relationship, or genuine feelings I should explore further if my partner gave consent? Or should I let my partner know about these feelings, but not entertain them beyond discussing them? Okay, well, this connects to my previous video because it's the same person, and this will connect to their next question that I'm going to address about marriage after I comment on this. So, you're already having sexual issues in the relationship where your partner feels like you aren't engaging in sexual activity to his liking. You're not having sex at all, actually, and you're wondering if you should see if your partner will consent to you hooking up with chicks. I'm gonna go with no. And should you let your partner know about these feelings and just discuss them? No. So while people have all sorts of opinions about polyamory, open relationships, monogamy, all of that stuff, pretty much one thing that everyone can agree on is that if you're having very serious sexual issues in your relationship, and there's lots of just other issues even in general in the relationship, that's not the time to introduce new sexual partners into the relationship. So even if that was a possibility for you down the line, I don't know whether you're talking about whether he'd be interested in threesomes or whatever it may be, with your relationship sounding a bit unstable and you being so far apart from each other as far as what both of you seem to want sexually, or even being able to make that work at all, that wouldn't make sense to introduce this to the relationship. Even as far as letting your partner know, I don't really see what the point would be there, even though I normally am someone for pushing open communication, all of that. In this case, what are you really telling the partner for? To let him know you might be more interested in women, or he already knows, he's already feeling rejected by you sexually, so I don't think that would make a whole lot of sense. I think you have to decide for yourself, are you living authentically? Do you really want to be in a relationship with a man? Or is this recurring theme about women? I don't think it's about, I suspect that it's not just about excitement outside of the relationship, because I don't think that the focus would be solely on women, right? Because if you were just looking for excitement outside of the relationship, you'd probably be thinking about men and women. So the fact that you're not having sex in this relationship and the focus is on women, I think says something about what you really might desire, and it could be a contributing factor as to why the relationship isn't quite working as it is, because you might really prefer women. And the next question is, my male partner keeps hinting at marriage in a non-serious and playful way, and each time I am in two minds about whether it's an endeavor I'm willing to pursue. I've never really been interested in a wedding or being married, but are there benefits to marriage that I may not have considered? To me, it seems like something people just do because they think it elevates their status in society and solidifies their relationship to themselves and those around them, but I don't see it as being necessary for anything other than superficial reasons. My question is, what are the benefits for getting married besides altering the societal perception of your relationship? Well, the first thing I would say is this ties back into the other question, right? Is that, of course, there would be no sense in contemplating elevating the seriousness of your commitment when there are already so many very serious issues going on. So that's just the first thought with this particular, with your particular situation. But as far as marriage in general, another thought is, is it just superficial if it's just about kind of others' perceptions? People will talk about this stuff a lot, even outside of the subject of marriage about, well, are you people just doing X, Y, and Z for others? Do you just want to impress someone else? Do you just want to, do this or that because of what others think? But when you think about the vast majority of human decisions, it almost always exists in relation to other people. We're very rarely making decisions as if we are, Tom Hanks's character in Castaway, and what we would do if we lived alone on an island is very different than what we do when we are living in a society with other people. So, how we dress. I mean, why does anyone bother wearing certain clothes or getting haircuts or whatever? Any number of just obvious things that has to do with the perception of others. So anything that we would do that has to do with others' perceptions of us, sometimes that is something worth considering, that, oh, am I just doing this as like a sort of following the trend or a people-pleasing activity that doesn't really mean anything to me? At the same time, as people who do live in a society, we do care what other people think. Now, it's up to you maybe to decide how much do you want to care. But the idea that you just don't care at all, or that it's superficial to care at all, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Yes, we do want, marriage can signal to other people the seriousness of your commitment to each other. And in turn, you guys, you have a wedding, you have a ceremony, it's this big... Okay. All right, I'm just going to leave part of that in the video because that's funny. My laptop was listening to me. Maybe not funny, maybe concerning. But anyway, yeah, so the whole thing that's for other people is also for yourself, right? It is about putting higher stakes on the level of commitment. And the incentive there is that both partners, at least in the past, of course still today, but there's lots of things that are changing within relationships and morals and societal expectations and the whole thing. But the idea in part is that, yes, it is supposed to be a commitment for life. And part of that is announcing it to people, having the party, the ceremony, the vows, all of that in front of other people is part of the deal. And I think we know how easy it is to, especially in this day and age, right? The throwaway dating culture. So marriage, in a sense, might seem crazy and pointless in that it's really the polar opposite of the current, at least in theory, it should be the polar opposite of the current throwaway dating culture where, after one date, or they send you one text or one picture or whatever it may be, something that you don't like, and then just get rid of them, whereas marriage is supposed to be in sickness and in health, yada, 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 forever, commitment until death do us part. So, now whether or not that means something to you, or you think that level of commitment is appealing, might be a separate issue. But there clearly is a purpose to it if you're someone who wants to up the stakes of the commitment, if you want to commit to in the highest level possible. Now, I can understand why some people, particularly with the way things work with divorce and laws, and where things can get messy, and why people might want to say, let's do our own version of marriage, but without the legal documentation. And, that might be a valid option as well. But I wouldn't just say that marriage is totally obsolete and pointless. I think that regardless of what we might say in modern times about, oh, it's so silly, whatever, certainly when someone is husband and wife, I take their relationship and their commitment more seriously. I see them in a different way than people that would introduce themselves as boyfriend and girlfriend. It just has a whole different feel to it. And especially if you have children, right? Sharing the same last name, being a cohesive family unit, there's a degree of seriousness. There's also practical things as far as things work with jobs and healthcare and taxes and all of that stuff. But even just in the sense of the feeling you have about a family unit where there's a married couple with children, regardless of what people might say, and they might just, oh, it's just superficial differences, it doesn't really feel so superficial. And so maybe not everything can be boiled down to sort of raw analytics about, why would you do this, why would you do that. Sometimes there's certain things in life that there's a feeling behind it. And yes, maybe I could even do a better job of explaining where that feeling might come from. But I think, like I'm kind of alluding to, is that intuitively we know this. We know what we think about a married couple and how our perception is different than just a boyfriend and girlfriend, or people that say, oh yeah, we're partners. Are you married? No. You wonder how committed they are. And so I can say for myself, I can be a big skeptic of marriage and be cynical about it and point out how it's bullshit, this, that, and the other. But I can tell you that the truth is, for myself individually, if I met someone and was dating someone that I was just absolutely crazy about, you can bet that I would want to marry that person. And so I think that's the reality for a lot of people. So knowing that, I think women in particular know that it's a little bit insulting, or they have reasons to question the relationship if the man doesn't want to get married. Now, this doesn't mean that me being someone who's often team man, certainly I've seen the ways in which divorce can be particularly detrimental and unfair to men, as far as custody issues with children and how they often get financially fucked over. And so I get that, and that's maybe for another video. But because of the fact that marriage tends to work in the favor of women, particularly when it ends, it's pretty rare that the woman is the one who gets the raw end of the deal. It makes me question even more, I guess, when there's women who don't want to get married to their boyfriend or partner, in the sense that it makes me question their level of commitment. And while people can say that there's exceptions and all that, in general, there is a reason why someone doesn't want to get married. And I would say one of those reasons often, if not nearly always, has to do with the lack of feeling of commitment and doubts they have about the relationship.